Hi guys, this is David, and today I'm coming to you with something special. I actually have a lost game. I created a game over 20 years ago, and I've never really been able to get back to it since. But I have rediscovered the game, and I am here to share it with you today. Back when I was about 18 years old, something came out on the PlayStation called RPG Maker, and I had always wanted to make my own RPG. This was a dream of mine ever since I was a child, and RPG Maker was the first game that actually allowed me to do that. The game itself is just one CD right here. It's a pretty simple game, but the instructions are astronomical. This is not something that you just get into fly by night. I have a little post-it note on this instruction manual. There's not only this one first instruction manual here, but because it's just so involved making games on this RPG Maker and it was so different, there's a second instruction manual. There's two instruction manuals for this one game. I can't think of any other game that had two instruction manuals just to play the game. It was involved, but I was determined. I was going to create a game, and I did between the ages of about 18 and 20. And then the game was lost. It was lost forever. So what you had to do back whenever you created these games, is you would save the files onto a memory card. And memory cards could only hold 15 little blocks of information. And you could have up to 30 blocks of information per game, because you would have two different memory cards. Then you would have to go to the store and you would buy something called a DEX drive. You would then deposit the memory card into the DEX drive, and then that would upload it to the internet. And there was a website called rpgmakermagazine.com, and I used that to upload my game to. And since then, that happened 20-something years ago, I've pretty much completely forgotten about the game until a stream happened a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said, "Hey David, have you ever thought about making your own game?" And I said, "You know what? I did. It was 20 years ago, but I made it. I did it." And I also have here with you, I don't know why I kept this stuff, but I have here with you some papers that, because I always wanted to make my own RPG, lists and lists and lists of abilities and spells and magic and everything else that I wanted in this game. I wrote it all out, and this isn't it. Like, this is just part of it. There's that. There's all of these stapled together. Like, it lists of enemies, stats, weapons, equipment, everything that you could possibly think of is in this folder. Here's even more that I wrote out on paper and created, and then ended up putting inside this RPG Maker game, and I've held on to all these papers all these years. There is a lot. There is a lot going on here in this game that I have. But not only that, that's just lists. I even made some conceptual artwork for my game that I created. I drew my very own world map. This is so old, I don't know what spilled on it back when, but yeah, this was the world map that I drew. I have even more just lists and lists and lists of things that I wanted in this game that I was going to make. I was thrilled about the concept of making an RPG Maker game. So now, what I want to do is just kind of go into the game and show you what it's all about. Here we are in the game itself. There's an RPG Maker portion and an Anime Maker. I never really used the Anime Maker because the RPG Maker portion had everything that I needed. This is a pretty archaic game, as you can see, for the original PlayStation. It was originally released in the year 2000. That was the year that I graduated high school. I was 18, and apparently I released this game in 2002. So I created this between the ages of 18 and 20 I was still closeted. Like, there was still a lot going on with me. This game is really a true time capsule. Going through here is going to be pretty memorable, but it should be pretty exciting. It should be definitely exciting. And as you can see, it took me 165 hours and 20 minutes to complete this game of mine, this little masterpiece of mine. And then I just put it out on the internet, and then I completely forgot about it, and I wasn't able to actually access it. But now we're going to be going through it. So the title of the game is Angels of Rizaran, and I named it that because I named the characters as like angels. And there was like this silken fabric weapon in Final Fantasy Tactics called Rizaran Silk, and I thought it was just kind of cool. So that's our title screen. We can configure things here. Gameplay edit has special attacks, class abilities as far as magic is concerned. Um, if you want monsters to appear automatically or manually, as far as which monsters will appear where, you can change all that. You can change the names of what parameters you have here, but I pretty much just kept that all by default. Now we're getting into other things, such as magic, and I have a ton of spells that you can see here. What I did for this game, and it's been 20 years since I've really gone into this, is I created different magics for each different character, and if they're just a name, they're a white magic spell or a black magic spell. But then here I have like a little symbol in front of it. So it looks like this is some other kind of ability right here. I want to say that's probably blue magic, because I created a blue magic system even. Then I have little hearts in front of other ones. I believe that these are song magics that I created. Then we have some monk abilities with the exclamation points in front. Summons with the little male and female symbols in front of them. So yeah, all sorts of different things for different spells and different abilities throughout this game that all do different things. So it gives a quick description, such as here. It says health tune, recover HP, but you can actually go in and you can say how much MP it's going to cost, how much HP it's going to restore. Is it going to be a single target, group target, or all targeting? What kind of graphics you want, and since it's a song magic, I just put a little musical note right there, and then the message for it. So that's what magic looks like. It's pretty involved. Then we have items. Items will include consumable items, all of your weapons, all of your armors, your accessories, all sorts of things like that. Down here I have these gems which I used for my blue magic system. Blue magic was not something that was easily implemented into a game like this. I kind of had to do that on my own. It looks like I have some key items over here as well. So like a tonic, you would say it's a cure type item. You can sell it. Tells you what it does here with the status being show. It cures your HP. It looks like it cures your HP by 50 points, and it costs 15 gold. And you're able to use it one time. So that's what all of those different things mean right there. When you go to an accessory right here, for example, it says the Wizard's Ring. It looks like it increases the magic defense by 30 points. And if you use it as an item, it will cast the Absorb magic spell. And then you can choose who you can equip it to. So David the Warrior cannot equip it, but Missy the Child can. Matt the Beatmaster, Lily, Rosemary, all of them can equip it. So this is just some different things to make all of your characters a little bit more unique here. So this is the weapon and item system, and as you can see, it's pretty extensive. I really went all out back in the day, doing all this and creating all this. Here we have our main characters, and you can go ahead and you can name them, you can give them the skill tree that they have. So right now their skill is Warrior, so they get extra critical hits, and you can decide which skills each person gets. As you can see right here, there's various different skills that each person can get. These are the stats that they gain upon their level up, what level that they start with, what equipment they start with, And then this would be what magical spells they're actually able to learn and at what level. So he's able to learn my attacking type spells like Pierce, Rally, it looks like Seven Slice, Cover, Steel Fist, things like that, all at different levels right there. And then you can choose what the person looks like right here, and just kind of change their character right there. So I have that all for each of my characters. And another thing that this game did not make easy was changing characters. Actually able to change your party members, but I was able to implement that system into the game as well. Over here, we have skills. So this goes back into the classes that we were just talking about. So the warrior, that's the name of the class, and then the skills. These are the various skills that each person can learn right there, just to make them a little bit more unique. You can't really program it in yourself. You just kind of have to choose what is there. Then we have our monsters. I put in a ton of monsters into this game. Here they all are. Let's see, we'll start at the beginning. So just like a little slime type monster or a little goo, you can put in their HP, their MP, their attack power, their defense, the agility, how much experience and gold that they give you. And then importantly, you can edit their attack or their treasure. It looks like their class is ice, so they are weak to fire. Here they only do a normal attack 100% of the time, and they have a 1% chance of dropping a berry. Let's look at a more complicated monster. We'll try this one right here. So this guy has a lot more stats. You can choose what the monster looks like. You can choose, all sorts of things like that. You can choose what color they are. So if they want to be like a different cousin, if you know what I mean. It looks like this guy has a 5% chance of dropping a silent gem, which would teach some blue magic. I implemented that. The attack patterns, 90% chance of doing a normal attack, 10% chance of doing a deadly scream. So yeah, just some different things that I put in here. Let's see what this guy is. Whoa. Yeah, looks like Tiamat or something. So it's just kind of cool. Some different things that you can do with this system. You might think that an RPG Maker game back in the year 2000 wouldn't be all that advanced, but I was really able to do quite a lot with this program. These are all of the various dungeons that you can have. For example, Coldwater is the name of the first town right here. And this is what the town looks like. And you have to script it using these blocks right here, but then you can put extra details into it with the scenario system. So it's just little houses here, things like that. The world map, let me show you before we get into this world map. What the game wants you to use is this thing called a field. And you can actually go through and you can create kind of a little world map right here using these pieces. And then you would kind of have the pieces go to one another like little lines. It would be like a little point and click world map. Kind of similar to Final Fantasy Tactics or Breath of Fire 4. I'm not a fan of that. I do not like world maps like that. So I created my very own world map, actually using the dungeon design. And again, this is something that the game did not really want you to do and didn't really expect you to do. So this is my world map. I have forests here. These little boulders basically are mountains. I have deserts here. All sorts of different stuff. And I have bridges over the water. And I'll show you some more things that you can do with this world map. I have a little island over here. Yeah, I implemented a ship system. I implemented docks and ports and all sorts of different stuff in this game 20 years ago. And honestly, I don't really remember much about the game at all because it's been so long since I did it. But this is just a brief overview of what the game consists of. So this is another little town, it looks like. Let's look at, we have some sample dungeons. Sample dungeons are kind of boring. Okay, this is like a bandit's hideout that I created right here. Um, so you can see like kind of the mazy area that I created so long ago. So yeah, so that's dungeon design. We've already gone through field monster appearance. Let's look at this. So this is what I was talking about earlier about how you can program various monsters and where you want them to appear. So on the world map, I created various monster zones. You can see this kind of rectangle right here, and in this rectangle, you can select which monsters you actually want to appear, just the goo and the scorpions. But as you go out of this rectangle, you can select other monsters, and it looks like I've added in magic imps and field goblins, and I've taken out the goos. You can also select the probability of how many monsters you will encounter. 1 being the minimum, 5 being the maximum encounter. You can do a little battle test, or you can change the background music. So as we continue going on, we have more and more monsters in each zone on the world map right here. So there is a lot that you can do with this program, and it is a lot of fun to just kind of tool around with. In many of the other dungeons, because it's just like one dungeon, it's pretty much just one monster database appearing. So that's pretty neat right there. But I had to do it this way because of the world map. You can't just say every single dungeon is automatic except for the world map. Because I made the world map have monster zones, all of the dungeons have to have monster zones. And it looks like there's a definite monster zones over here in this survivor area. So we have some monsters over here. Looks like some different monsters over here. But down in this area, it's like a safe zone, so I didn't want any monsters to appear down here in this little general vicinity. Here we have game info. You can just kind of name your game and things like that. You can create a password which would lock your data if you wanted to. But whenever I created the game, I thought, no one's going to play it. What does it really matter? And I didn't create a password. And I'm kind of glad that I did, because I feel like 20 years later, I wouldn't have remembered what the password was that I created. Now we're into the scenario data. Here's where it gets really complicated. The system data is just kind of creating weapons and items and magics and characters and monsters and things like that. The scenario data is much, much more complex. Here's where you create events and you create triggers. So this has your event, and then you can see, you can create an object such as a treasure chest. I have a sign right here. And what happens is, because it didn't want you to make world maps, I had to create my own way of entering a town, and I use signposts to represent towns. So we have a message of entering the town. You have a choice of yes or no, and if you choose yes, your location gets moved to the town. Okay, what do we have here? It looks like some random... Okay, this, this was... Later on in the game, you're going to get a ship, and then ports will be implemented. And because the ship works as an extra party member, you actually have to change all your party members afterwards, and that was a very hard thing for me to implement, using all sorts of different switches to do it and moving my party around and everything. I remember this being really complex, but really happy whenever I was able to finally implement that. Here we have various characters. We can put dialogue in here. This is an event that happens at the beginning of the game, with all sorts of sound effects and screen flashing, because I implemented a thunderstorm here at the beginning of the game as well. And kind of like a little chase scene. There's more of the ship. This is another town as well. Another way to enter a town. It looks like, what is this? Okay, this is more... okay, this is a cave. I used a little hole to represent caves rather than a sign to represent towns. So enter the Druid cave, and then you would move to the dungeon, the Druid dungeon right there. Coal mines, another little cave right here. All sorts of different things here on the world map. I'm like spoiling myself. I don't even remember what happened whenever... I don't remember anything really about the game. But going through some of these events, like, this really is a time capsule for me. This is going back in time 20 years ago to a game that I created and I just completely forgot. Here we have some events. Let's look at the first town in the game. So we have various events, and we have like a merchant right here, and this would be the inn. You know, you can have a message for saving. Here's a townsfolk, and they talk about. It looks like they're talking about a save point right here. So there we go. There we go. Yeah, so then this must be the actual save point right there. We also have some just like little decorative signs. So this is a little sign just says in, and the D stands for duplicate. So I took this in sign and I duplicated it there and duplicated it here, just to make it more decorative, to feel a little bit more alive. Here is a townsfolk that tells you about various skills and magics, black and white magics, blue magics. Let's see. Yeah, it talks about how to learn blue magic, various skills with the exclamation point. So just like some general knowledge about the game. Various other townsfolk here. Let's see what else we have going on. It's just fun to go through and explore this this old game that I made. This is what we call a treasure event, and it's a one-time only event. It doesn't necessarily have to be a treasure box, but most people use it for that. But sometimes if you just want an event to happen one time and then to go away, you can use a treasure event for that. So that's what this is all about. So yeah, a lot of events, a lot of decoration, a lot of NPC dialogue is put in here. I spent so much time in this game, and I cannot wait to really go through this and to really play it all with you, so you can really see my lost game that I have only just now rediscovered from 20 years ago. I hope that you guys are looking forward to my stream of Angels of Rizarin coming up starting on Wednesday. Have a good day.